Hey, what's up? It's Phoenix. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to read the final part of my 5-part series of my essay, Aftermath. I guess now it's a matter of letting go. Here's part 5. Acceptance. What they did was cruel. What they did was not okay. What I had to survive was incredibly complicated and difficult. It shouldn't have happened and should never happen to anyone. I don't like the way that many people approach the situation where they didn't understand how extreme it actually was and how horrible it was to go through it. Well, at least I'm not homeless, at least I'm not injured, at least I'm not whatever. And while I understand that such comments probably come from good intentions, most people are very lucky to never have to experience something like this. It is so incredibly stupid because considering what they had to do to break in the first place, they should have walked away with a lot more, but at most they walked away with $500. They didn't need the stuff that they had stolen. And the thing to keep in mind is that the vandalism and breaking in was not the only thing that they did. They trashed the place and dislocated my space and were incredibly violating to my sacred space. So if other people think that it is fair to have someone do these things to you, then go ahead and allow them in. Feel free, but I sure as hell didn't invite them in, nor did I ask for it, and that definitely matters in our analysis of it. So no, I don't accept it, at least not yet. To me it feels as though what they did really changed my view on human nature, and it dampened my belief in the good. I thought that I was safe, I thought that I was okay, but none of that was true. And when people don't care, whether neighbors or management, you are left in a situation where there is nothing that you can do. The cops close the case and there are no leads. As everything was happening, I didn't think that I was going to be able to overcome it. Some of my friends pointed out that they wouldn't know what to do had this happened to them, and that is exactly what it felt like. I knew that I needed to move to a new place, but I didn't know where to move. And even though things finally worked out and I am in a very lovely place now, it was a situation where I really wasn't sure at all what was going to happen and what I was going to do. I ended up waiting for quite a while, still going to my old place, and that was super uncomfortable. While perhaps that means that I'm technically not homeless, I was very much on the verge, and I take the situation very seriously and what it meant. Not just in terms of practical steps to take, but in terms of the underlying philosophy and perspective to take about larger issues. Let's face it, with my mental health being what it was, this kind of situation could have leveled me to the ground. They stole all the things that I love. I've had to improvise with guitar, which hasn't been the worst in the world, but it has been different from what I'm used to with the electric guitar setup. And I haven't been able to expand the range of what I was doing with guitar by playing the 7th string. I also haven't been able to make higher quality videos, and I haven't been able to do the things that I love. And that is incredibly cruel, because those were things that I actively was using, and they were things that brought a lot of peace and joy to my life. To just have all that taken has been incredibly stressful, because now I have to figure out how to replace it all and come up with the money. It is a situation where some of those things were gifts, and some of those were things that I earned through hard work. I didn't get a free pass to have those things, I worked for it. I am low income, and obviously this is a lot harder than it seems to replace things that you love. The stress of not having very much money and having accumulated things over years is really hard to figure out what to do. There are those parts of me that wonder why things never change. I have been dealing with a lot of rejection as a writer because I submit trying to find a publisher and I find nothing and just get excised from writing groups. That can be incredibly disorienting and discouraging to try to deal with that reality. I mention that because this is just the way that the situation is, and what I have to accept is that this is just the way that the world is. People do awful things like breaking into people's homes, and I just have to accept that Salt Lake City is a big city now, and that's what insurance is for. Well, I didn't have renter's insurance because frankly I couldn't afford it. I think that is what made all of this so incredibly difficult, is not just the break-in, but also the reality of what it did to someone who already didn't have a lot to begin with. When I devote my life and my work to enriching the world and to help other people, whether at my job helping those with addiction or enriching the world through my writing and music, only to be screwed over like this, it can be a very defeating and demotivating feeling to where I feel as though there is no purpose to life, because nothing will change. Confronting the barrel of the gun like this, I really had to do a lot of work on myself in this entire process. I really had to struggle with nihilism. I don't like acknowledging that because I feel like I have a lot of purpose in my life, yet realizing that people are capable of doing things like this to really screw someone over and destroy their life has made me doubt what I'm actually capable of doing, and has made me feel incredibly overwhelmed at the prospect of my individual transformation. I really have had to wrestle with the nihilism because I have asked myself, is it really worth it to live? I wouldn't hurt myself or focus on suicidal ideation given the circumstance, but I also recognize that because of the way my mental illness works, some of that was there, and like I said earlier, some of that was definitely unavoidable in the situation, just because that is the way that my mind works. What do you do when you feel as though your life is meaningless and worthless? What do you do when you feel all these things? It really wouldn't have been as bad if people had been more kind throughout the process, but people kept minimizing what was happening. And I believe that is because they don't know what it feels like. They may as well say that I deserve it. I deserved what happened. The nihilism was always the hardest thing to deal with. No one wanted to do a single damn thing except for the people that loved me, who were helping me throughout the entire process, and how much I appreciate them. That is what is so incredibly cruel about it, I feel, which is that it was a very nihilistic thing to do, and it plunged me into a nihilistic despair. I really doubt that they got very much money from what they stole, and I still don't understand why they broke into my place in the first place. I still don't understand why they took the risk and why they did what they did. And that is where the nihilism comes from feeling as though there is no purpose to anything that I am doing because of how easily it can be disrupted. People online were kind to point out that it doesn't matter and that what I am doing is still important. The fact that I create, the fact that I help people, the fact that I do creative things, the fact that I am kind, it means something. People have been very kind pointing out that I didn't know this was going to happen and that it wasn't my fault. So I very much appreciate that. I guess now I decide what to do. I'm definitely going to keep processing all of this. I'm going to keep focusing on figuring out what I need to do. Things are slowly falling into place and things aren't as bad as they were. It was the Thanksgiving holiday yesterday, and I am happy and grateful for the things that I have. I am very happy that I am doing the things that I am doing and trying to get everything back on track. Even though I wasn't able to play electric guitar, I wrote 4 pieces for acoustic guitar in the interim. I also have been using my iPad camera to make movies and videos, and that very much makes me happy. But I can't emphasize this enough. I am not over it. I am going to process every last drop of this situation because that is my right and because I need to figure out for myself what this really means, regardless of what anyone else says. This is my decision to choose how I respond, and so that is what I'm going to do. I take it seriously. I envision that I am going to continue to figure out what to do and that I'm going to move forward. Obviously, a big part of me has changed because I know people are capable of doing stuff like this. I also know that people don't really understand what is going on, which means that I have to accept those elements that are out of my control. People really don't know what this feels like, and that is one of the most soul-crushing things to try to convey to people. This really fucking hurt. When I'm already feeling as though I can't be a writer because it isn't sufficient enough socially and for society, and when I feel as though everything that I'm doing is coming out of my own pocket and is always self-produced and lonely, it can be really hard to justify anything that I'm doing. I believe in the work that I'm doing, though, and I believe that, even though my situation is strained right now because of what happened, I know that it will be okay and that what I am doing still matters. I'm trying to do good things. That is all that I wanted to ever do. I like helping people. I like being creative. While it is arguable whether someone was actually on drugs that came to my apartment, I literally spend my life helping addicts. So these would be the people that I would normally help. What I think is so incredibly important about this reality of mine is that I am busy helping people that might perpetrate and perpetuate crimes like this. So those are the kind of people that get punished in life. I guess I got punished. No good deeds go unpunished and all of that. But it doesn't change what I'm trying to do, nor does it change what really matters here. Despite such a cruel world, I still have hope. Darkness tempered by joy. I feel as though there is something here for me to pay attention to and to focus on. While this has easily been the hardest time of my life, I do believe that it gets better, and I don't believe that is because that's what people keep telling me to believe. I really believe that I have the resiliency and determination to get through this, and it just makes me that much more determined to do the right things. And so in my mind, what I'm trying to do matters and is still good, and I just have to keep that in mind. I'm not going to lose sight of what matters here, and I'm not going to change in a negative way, becoming super bitter and angry at the world. I feel as though there is hope, and that is something that I didn't expect. I will get through this. I will hold on to the resiliency. It really sucks that this happened, and I wish that it could have been different, but I know that it isn't. And I also know that it's easier said than done to just accept what's going on. I don't believe all of that, but I believe that I have what it takes to move forward and to succeed, and I will be resilient, and I will keep trying. In that way, there is a lot of hope. In that way, I push forward.